Hello, I'm Dr. Arti Kandolkar. I'm a consultant psychologist and a counselor. Now, we are going to discuss about types of depressive disorder. Okay. And second is persistent depressive disorder. Now, this one, okay, major depressive disorder is also known as unipolar depression. Okay. Or you can also call as clinical depression, or you can also call it major depressive episode. Okay, so all this means the same. Second type is persistent depressive disorder, or it is known as dysthymia. Now, let us understand that persistent depressive disorder is a chronic one. Chronic means long lasting but not so severe. Okay, so this lasts around in what you can say in adolescents and children, it has to last for 1 year. Okay, and for adults it has to last for 2 years and more to diagnose. Okay, so these are the two that we are going to discuss now. Let's go ahead. Second type, that is persistent depressive disorder, or we also call it a dysthymia. Okay, as I said, it is chronic, long term. Okay, yet it is not as severe as major depressive episode. Okay, so let's move on and understand what does this mean. Persistent depressive disorder. Okay, so now what it is, let's understand this. It is a high functioning, okay, high functioning depression. High functioning means what? It is a person in this depressive episode of persistent depressive disorder is highly functioning. He is like, he can do his regular course, he can go to job, he can take care of his what he can at home. Okay, he can do all the things more better than major depressive episode. Okay, so that is why it is high functioning depression. This mood disorder is less severe form of depression. It is less severe than major depression, although less extreme. This dysthymic disorder causes chronic long-lasting moodiness. So although we call it like person can do all the course and everything well, but you have to understand it's a long-lasting moodiness, or you can say long-lasting low mood, persistently or consistently being there. Okay, it's like you'll see this person is almost always negative about things, always pessimistic about things going up. Okay, so with this dysthymic disorder, low dark mood invades your life nearly every day, 2 weeks or more. Okay, so this is like lasting for 2 years. Major depression was for 2 weeks, and this is for 2 years. But in adolescent and children, it is 1 year, that you have to remember. This mood disorder tends to appear earlier than major depression. So this generally it is seen that persistent depressive disorder comes earlier before the episode of major depressive disorder. Okay, although it can begin anytime from childhood to later life, although there is no 100% guarantee that it will only occur after major depression will come only after this. Not necessary, but it has been seen. I hope this point is clear. Okay, this is just an introduction to persistent depressive disorder. So next, let's see some symptoms of dysthymic disorder. Okay, dysthymia, also known as persistent depressive disorder, refers to a type of chronic depression present for many days, at least 2 years. Okay, it can be mild, moderate, or severe. So it can come into three forms: mild, major, or severe. What are the major symptoms of this? Feeling of sadness, then loss of interest and pleasure, as we already discussed, anger and irritability issues, feeling of guilt, okay, low self-esteem, not having confidence, difficulty falling or staying asleep. Okay, so person will be constantly in overthinking, thinking about the past mostly. Okay, so falling asleep will be difficult for the person. Sleeping too much, feeling of hopelessness, helplessness, uselessness, all these feelings, fatigue and lack of energy throughout most of the time, changes in appetite, so you may sometimes eat too much, you can sometimes eat too less, okay. Trouble concentrating, okay, and focusing on task. Next, I hope these symptoms which are given are general symptoms of dysthymia, okay. So next is major depressive episode. So why I put this slide is to make you understand the symptoms of major depressive disorder and dysthymia are same, just like mania and hypomania share the same symptoms, but the severity is different. Okay, major depressive episode will have severe symptom of depression, while a persistent depressive disorder will have chronic but less severe, okay, symptoms of the symptoms will remain the same, by the way. So these are the symptoms which we have discussed in major depression. We are not going to discuss this again. So now diagnostic criteria, okay, what is different? Although symptoms remain the same, what is different while diagnosing? First, depressed mood most of the day for many days than not for at least 2 years. Okay, this we have discussed, at least 2 years it has to be there. Second, presence while depressed at least 2 of the following. Okay, these symptoms again: poor appetite, overeating, insomnia, hypersomnia, low energy, fatigue, low self-esteem, poor concentration, difficulty making decision, and feeling of helplessness. These are the various symptoms that comes with dysthymic disorder, just like major depressive episode. Okay. Third, during the 2-year period, symptoms not absent for more than 2 months at a time. What do you mean by this? So, since we know it is a 2-year disorder, like minimum 2 years are required, the person should be in this low moods, okay. But out of this 24 months, that is 2 years, a person can be without symptoms, minus 2 months we'll say. 2 months they are allowed to live a normal without depressive moods, okay. So it can be minimum you have to have 22 months, okay, initially, and 2 years are allowed not to have those symptoms, okay. But more than 2 months without symptoms you cannot diagnose. Like suppose if you say it's like I had can say 20 months of depressive symptoms and no symptoms for 4 months, then you cannot diagnose this as persistent depressive disorder. Next, no history of manic and hypomanic episode. Again, there cannot be appearance of mania or hypomania in the past or in the future or present. Okay. Significant distress and impairment in your major areas of your life, like your work, your education, your studies, at home, social life, everywhere. Okay. I hope these points are also clear as a diagnostic criteria. This dysthymia again in a graphical format. Okay. So this is about mania. This is a neutral mood, that is euthymic mood. Okay. And see, the person goes down, but not so deep to meet the criteria of severe major depression. Okay. The person doesn't meet the criteria for severe major depression. It doesn't touches this line basically. It doesn't come here and goes up. It's like it's lingering between this normal mood and mild depression. Okay. So that is why it is dysthymia. It's major depression, it would have come down. Okay. So next, depression in children. Now, as we know, we said that depression occurs whether it is your childhood or adulthood, anywhere. But how will the children be acting when they have depression? Will they understand they are under depression, or will they show the same symptoms as adults? So let's see. A child who is depressed might pretend to be sick, refuse to go to school, or cling to parents. Okay. What will be their symptoms? They won't show they are depressed, they feel like sleeping or things. They'll give excuses or pretend to be sick. They're not sick, but they can pretend to be sick, not go to school, and cling to the parent and worry that the parents might die. Okay. So they are like started to do overthinking, refusing to do their regular duties. Okay. Older children, okay, may sulk, okay, may be sad, get into trouble at school, negative or grouchy, and feel misunderstood. So they may be more aggressive, angry kind of dispositions that they may show. Okay. So this is about younger kids and older children. Okay. This, the intention to say is that they appear different. You have to be vigilant. You have to be aware how it may look like in a children. Okay. So I hope you have understood how the depression feels like in an adult and in children, older children. So if you have any difficulties, you can ask in our comment box. Thank you.